Because of Formic Pro, formic acid, not working last fall at killing the Varroa mites, my colonies are smaller than they should be for this time of year, the end of January. So what I did a few days ago, 3 days ago, I gave them some pollen patty. And this colony's on the pollen patty. I did a colony earlier, this colony here, and I determined they didn't need their medium with honey in it. And I did it using I recorded it with my DVD mini cam and tried uploading it on YouTube and uploaded fine, but then they said they wouldn't process it. So that colony wasn't touching the pollen patty, wasn't on it, but they still had a queen. So just doing this colony to show you how I do this. This one has a medium on it. I take that off, and then I take the deep and I set that on there with the bottom screen left here. I leave the bottom screen, and then I take all the dead bees on the bottom screen and I dump them on the floor, sweep it into a pile so I'm not stepping in it anymore. And then after I get that bottom screen cleaned, I put it back on. I take that deep that I had set there and I put it back on here. And this has got my homemade platform on the shim here that I put the entrance feeder. When I'm done with this and I put it back together, I will gather up all these bees. I will put them in mason jars, and then I take this entrance feeder and put it over like I did here. See, I've already done that one. And let them go in, cover it with the dark rag, and they'll go in after a little bit of while. Every colony is different. Some of them are more aggressive than others, and I haven't opened a lot of these for a few months, so they're not used to me. So what I do is I usually open it, and I'll let them relax a little bit, because after you move the hive, and as soon as you open it, they think bad things are going to happen. So I let them relax, and then I put my fingers up here like this, see how they react to me. And once I've reached the point where I think I can take out a few frames, I take out a few frames. So let me see if I can pause this thing. Okay, I've taken out the easiest side of frames, whichever side's easier to take out. I've taken out 3, and I've split down right down the middle the cluster. After I've moved some of the large pieces of sugar away, you don't want to disturb the cluster. You disturb them, it's going to make it harder for you to find that queen. See that queen? Doesn't look like she's laying yet. Looks like she's getting ready to start within the next few days. But I know this colony has a queen. I do not need to worry about this colony. This is what I consider a small colony for this time of year. I can save this colony as long as they have a queen and I keep them in a warm environment. There, she's coming up now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put that frame back. Okay, I got them back together. As much as possible, you do not want to breathe on them. And by me talking while I'm making this video, that is enough air for them on them that they started getting excited. So if you check out my videos from last fall, in 2018 I used this Formic Pro. I had 22 colonies and I lost 10%, so I was down to 20. And I was skeptical I thought I still had mites. And I checked that winter and I couldn't find any mites, and I didn't have any losses of my colonies that winter. So I went ahead in 2019, I did exactly the same thing, followed the same instructions. And I didn't check them as thoroughly as I did the first time because I thought I didn't need to. And let me just go over this real quick here. See on here, they say for treatment of virosis. Now as far as I know, there is no such thing as a treatment of virosis. All you can do is kill the Varroa mites, keep them from spreading the virosis to other bees. But there is no treatment for virosis. I don't know how they got that claim. And then down here, treatment may trigger supersedure fragile queens. They're not really necessarily fragile queens, but young queens, all queens basically. Fragile queens regardless of age. Well, they call it fragile, but anyway, every time I've used it, I lost 10% of my queens, and I thought it was worth the risk because I was getting rid of the Varroa mites. But the second time I used it, I still had Varroa mites. And a month after I was done with the treatment of the salicylic acid, I realized I had a problem. I switched to acylic acid, this Varroa vaporizer. It's not cheap. I paid $165 through Better Bee for this, and they charged me $38 for 350 grams of acylic acid. And I later found it on Walmart's website, and it's also on eBay for $26 and $28 from Walmart. 10 pounds. It's so much cheaper. You know, when you buy this Formic Pro, one dose is over $5. So when you start adding up the number of colonies and say you're spending $6 for every colony, and then you find out it doesn't work, you're much better off investing your money in this. But it does not kill the mites in the cat brood, so you have to do it several times, especially when your queens are laying, until you get all the mites out of the colony. That's why you want to do it several times in the fall, because it's really important to get rid of those Varroa mites in the fall before the winter bees are done. Because once the winter bees get varrosis, that colony is going to shrink dramatically during the winter. And you can go to all the hassle of getting rid of the Varroa mites during the winter. And then the following year, you get the commercial beekeepers that take their bees out to the almonds of California every winter, where they pick up more Varroa mites. And these commercial beekeepers, they like to act like they know more than everybody else with bees, but their bees are on the edge. That's why you see a lot of them have huge losses, because they subject their bees to harsh chemicals and monoculture, and it's not good for them. So every spring, every June, the commercial beekeepers come back and they bring back Varroa mites with them, and I get Varroa mites from them, and they build up in my colonies all summer. And then a couple years ago, when I was talking to Better Bee when I was getting this formic acid from Formic Pro, they suggested I do mite rotations with other mite treatments, or mite treatment rotating. And then I asked, well, how do I know the mice that I'm getting from commercial beekeepers, how do I know which treatment they use? So it was kind of a stupid suggestion, because I can get rid of the mites in my colonies during the fall and guarantee they don't have any during the winter. And then the following year, the mites they pick up are going to be from other people's bees, not my bees. So that's really kind of a stupid suggestion from Better Bee. They think they act like they know more than anybody else, and they don't. They're just a bunch of idiots as far as I'm concerned. And then the other problem was with this formic acid, you got to use it between temperatures of 50 and 85. And if it gets too hot when you put this stuff in a hive, you're going to have a higher mortality rate. I was doing this stuff during the temperatures, and I still lost 10% of my queens and 10% of my colony strength the first couple days of the treatment. And then they say, allow a minimum of 1 month between applications. Do not mix with other miticides. So you use this at the end of summer, early fall, and you got to wait a month. By the time that month is up, you can't do it again because the temperatures are below 50. When I found out I had a problem last year with this, and I contacted apiaries, they tried telling me I had a reinfestation. And I said, well, that isn't really possible in the amount of time that I had. And I asked, does your Formic Pro formic acid kill Varroa mites? And he said, yes, it does. And I told him straight out, I said, no, it doesn't. Because a month after I used the mite treatment, I still had large numbers of mites in my hives. Because I had clean bottom boards when I used the salicylic acid. And there was a large number of mites that fell out a few hours after I used that. So when you consider the price of this stuff, and you consider you're going to lose 10% of your queens, and you consider that it doesn't kill Varroa mites, there's really no reason to waste your money with it. So use this acylic acid. I've had really good luck with it in the last couple months. So, all right, thank you.